Hello and welcome to this part 2 of the application Rideshare. Show you in part 0 the introduction. We will start building this application that allow user to share ride with his neighbor. So we'll be using for the front React and for the API Node.js with MongoDB and Express.js. So as I told you, this will be a PWA. So here in the front, I'll point my folder to front, and I will create a new app, npx create react app in this folder. So I'll type dot, then I'll specify the template, CRA template PWA, which will set up for me an application with the worker and using the workbox and prepare it for PWA. Alright, we can test our application with yarn start. Alright, the create react app will create for us the boilerplate for the application with the settings for Webpack and Babel and all this stuff. So here we have our application is running, working. Next we'll have a look at we have the manifest here, Rideshare, the name of the app. I can put here capital Rideshare, Rideshare, share a ride with a neighbor. Alright, the favorite icon, we have the logo, we will specify them later, and the start URL, we'll work on this later. So this is the manifest.json. Next we have to check in the SRC, we have the service worker. Here is our service worker, which create for us the worker. Alright, using the workbox plugin, which is created by Google. So service worker registration here, which supposed to register the service worker. Alright, and in the index.js we have the service worker registration dot unregister, so we'll change it to register. We are enabling our worker. So if I now check my application, I can go to Lighthouse. I can take the progressive web app for the here generate report, and if I click on generate report, it will generate a report for me about my status on my PWA app. There were issues affecting this run of Lighthouse. There may be affecting. Alright, this is about indexed DB. Alright. So we'll check it in an incognito as they recommend. So we generate again the report, and we got installable web app manifest or service worker do not meet the installability requirement. One reason. Alright, so as you can see, it's not ready as a PWA application. So we'll be working on this part here to improve its behavior as a PWA. Now I will do some cleanup and set up my first page. So here in my index.js, all is good for now. In my app.js, I will remove all this content here. Alright, I will keep the class name app for now. I will remove this logo. Concerning the CSS, alright, we'll remove everything in the app.css. Now in the index.css, we'll keep the margin, alright, web font smooth. Alright, we keep everything here. Here we'll be adding the CSS reset. And one more thing I need to add here is the CSS for the box model, and set the box sizing for all my element to border box. This way we have our initial styles ready. Now for the app.js, I will copy the logo. Alright, here in the src, I'll create a new folder. I will name it assets. Inside of this folder, I'll create a new folder. I'll call it images inside of it. So I will reveal it in Explorer and paste it in the images. Alright, same for the photo. This one here, the photo. Now I have both two pictures. Now first I will import as a logo or logo image from the assets / images / rideshare.png. Let's name it logo. Alright, so I will rename this file to logo. Then I will import the app intro as intro emg. Alright, now I can set up my application. First I'll create a header. Inside the header I'll put the logo, so I'll use image. The src will be logo emg, which will be handled by Webpack, and the alt Rideshare app logo, something like this. Then we have the main section, which will contain also an image. As the src, I'll put the intro image and the alt example on how the app work, and I'll add a paragraph. First we need to add a title, so I'll add an h1, which will be share ride, reduce cost. Then a paragraph, which I'll add a class to it, large, which means a large paragraph. So here we add the text, and finally we have the button, get started. Alright, so now if we have a look in the browser, here is our data. Now we need also to do some styling. So here to style this page here, the main content here, I'll put it in its own component. So I'll create a folder called component, and another folder, we'll name it pages. Now inside the pages I will add the home.js, which will be a functional component. The name of course will be home. And for the props, for now there's no props, which will return the HTML defined in the app, this HTML that we have just defined. So okay, there will be returned here, wrapped with, for now it's an empty element, an empty wrapper, and we'll export default the home, and we'll import this function in our app.js. So now we can use, instead of this code here, the component home. I need to import also the intro image. I need to import it inside the home now, since it is used here. So this is for the intro image. All right. Now concerning the header, I can here add the style for the header. So body header. All right. So I'm targeting the header immediately after the body. The first one and child one, which target only the first one, which to ensure that the main header. Here I can add some style like padding 30 pixel. Concerning again the intro image, we need to go back one folder. Yes, all right. And it seems the styles in the our app.css didn't apply. All right. So it will be body.app. Now to style component. So as you can see, we are having here the home component. To make the style for the home component inside the component itself, instead of putting all our style sheet in separated files, I'll be using the styled component library. So I'll install with yar add styled components. All right. Now with style component. All right. Now with the styled component, I can create a component styled home, and this component now will be associated with some style sheet using this syntax you are seeing here. All right. Now here I can add CSS style sheets. We'll start by first I will use the styled home here as a component. All right. I need here to define return the native HTML element that will be returned. So here it will be a div. So here in our case, we want to add style to the image, which will be width 100%. As you noticed, I can target the child elements, and the styles for this div will be at the root. So width 100%, the height will be left as it is. Then we have, now for the h1, I'll add styles, global styles here in the app.css. So I'll add styles for the h1. All right, so this will be the font for the h1. All right, I need to import the Roboto font. So I'll go quickly to Google Fonts, and I will click on Roboto font. Okay, I can select the font I want. Now currently we want the bold which is 700, and of course I know in advance that I want the regular, so I'll get both. All right, and I'll get here the link that I need to use on my web page. Here I'll use it in the public folder index.html. I'll paste the link here below the. All right, so now I can use the Roboto font using the font family Roboto sans serif. So back here to the app.css file. All right, I'm setting the font to Roboto. I can add the sans serif as a backup. All right, so this is the h1 design. Now for the paragraph also I have to design the p.large. So this is for the large, and I want the styles for the p in general, so it will be the same style. So I'll cut these rules, and for the font size it will be of course less. So for the font size we set it to, let's say, 60 for now, and of course lesser line height. The line height will be, let's say, 80. The color will be the same. All right, later on we'll create some vars for the color. We'll set up some theme. So this is for the paragraph. If I check my browser now, I can see here it is. Now we need to set some container for our application. So we create a new component here in the component. So we create a container component. Now props, for now there will be no props. It will return. We'll create a component named styled container, which will wrap element props.children export default container here. We import styled components and we create our component here, the styled container, which will be of course styled.div. Now for the container we'll have the max of 1280 pixel. Then we'll have the margin 0 auto, which will center it, and this is it. All right, this is it for the container. Now we can import the container in the home page. I'll import container from component / container, and I can wrap my element that need to be contained here. For example, the h1, for example, I can add the container. I can also add it for the button and the paragraph. We have some typo, so it's styled container, not styled container. All right, here it is. Now concerning the image, it's also too big, so I will put the image inside the container. All right, so this is it. And for the header too, we'll import the container, which is in the app.js. All right, so here it is. All right, now this is on the desktop. For mobile, we can, let's say iPhone X. Here it is on mobile. Now what we will do, I will remove the container from EMG because it doesn't need to have container. Now for the container itself, I will add some padding. So it will be a padding of 13 pixel, and I remove the container not from the header but from the image here. The image, I'll move it out of the container. All right, so here it is. This is the this is what we want, and if we check it first, let me set the view to 100. So here it is. So this is now missing the button style. We'll style it later. This is some general component, so we'll leave it for the next video. Now for the concerning the desktop, for the desktop we need to have the layout divided by 2. So here in app.js we'll be importing later on the registration, which if we check the Figma here, for the desktop for large resolution, we'll have side by side both pages, the home page and the create new account, which on mobile there are 2 separate pages. Now here, once we create and import the registration page, we'll set up this task for the desktop. All right, this is it now for the front end. And next we'll be setting up the API. Now for the API, let's go back to the API. So I will go back one folder. Oh, here it seems I did a mistake. I did install in the general folder for both application. What I can do is remove these 3 files. All right, now after deleting this file. I'll install it again, but it's now in the front. So I will go back to the front. I will add styled components. All right. So we'll make sure it is in the right package. Styled component. All right. Now back to the API. Let me see how I can delete these two files. All right, perfect. Now if I go back one folder then to the API, here I can create in the API a new npm app by typing npm init. So this will initialize a new npm project. For the package name, it will be Rideshare. All right, Rideshare API. Okay, Rideshare API. For the version, all right, 1.0.0. For the description, for now I'll leave it empty. The entry point index.js, which is fine. Test command, nothing for now. Git repository, nothing for now. No keywords, no author, default license, and yes. So here we have created a package.json. Next we need to add some dependencies that we need. So we'll use the npm here, which come by default, or I can use the yarn. Let's stick with the yarn. All right, yarn add. Remember, you need to have yarn installed. So yarn add, I need the express, then I need to install MongoDB. All right, and I'll be using the .env and the cores, so I will install them, these four libraries. All right, so we'll wait for them to finish. All right, so I'll close every file here, and here I will create the index.js inside the src folder. So let me create a new folder. I will name it src. Inside of it, I'll create a file called index.js, and this file will require .env.config, will require the express and the cores. Now for the require.env.config, we'll create here a file. We'll name it .env, which will contain the variable needed for the local environment. Here I'll set a couple of local variables that I will need. For example, I have the port 301. I have the Mongo URL. This is my local MongoDB URL. And I have the base URL of this application. So now with the require.env.config, I'll having access to these variables. And on the server, they will be, of course, different than the local environment. So this is why we are using the environment variable here. One more variable I need is the MongoDB name, which will be Rideshare. So back to my index here. All right, I can access this variable with process.env, for example, .port for the port, Mongo URL for the URL, as they are named in the .env file. All right, the same for the MongoDB name. So I have now this variable here, which will be different on the server. Now, once you deploy this application on the server, you need to specify the environment variable there too. Now, here's some quick settings. First, we are creating an app, an Express app, which we'll be using to set up some routers, and we'll also use it to set up some middleware. So here we are using the cores middleware on all the routers, and we are using the express.json also on all the routers. So we want the request or the response return to be parsed as JSON. Now here we run a server on the specified port in the environment. All right, once it is run successfully, we'll console.log app listening on the port specified in this application. Now we are ready to test this application. Now in my package.json here, I will create two scripts, the dev, which will run the development environment with NodeMon, and the start, which will run the index.js file as using the node. So this will be used on the server, and here on the development we'll use the dev. So of course you need to have NodeMon installed globally. I already have. So I can here type npm run dev, which will run the dev server. Alright, I get an error missing. Okay, I haven't saved. npm run dev, which is running. Now app listening on port 301, which should work if I go to local host 301. So nothing will happen. I don't have any router. I can quickly now create a router with app.get / on the root. I will return a req for request and res for response. And I can use the res.send hello, just hello. All right, if I now refresh, I should get the hello. So this is how it works.